Ready? Start. Madam Deputy Chairman, I welcome this opportunity to make a few observations during the discussion on the finance bill. At this stage, therefore, it is better to use this opportunity to make a survey of the economic situation and find out what the present condition of the people is, whether they are satisfied, and if they are not satisfied, what the reasons are. I feel this responsibility is greater today when the American aid is likely to be reduced, and therefore we have got to stand more on our own legs. When the plan was set forth, there were three sources from which we hoped to get finance for the plan, namely our own resources from the revenues, loans within the country through savings, and thirdly, foreign help. The latter we need not discuss here. If we study the accomplishments of the plan and the resources that it has been possible to raise, we cannot deny that our expectations have not been fulfilled, and we have therefore to find out the resource regions which have led to that situation. Here, incidentally, I would like to touch in a sentence or two the entire theme of the speech of Mr. Bhupesh Gupta. It is very easy to say this should be done or this could have been done from the opposition point of view, but I would like to ask him a question and he can reply to it later in some other speech, whether in Russia. It would be possible for anybody not in the debate in the parliament but even outside to utter a single sentence against the government policy. In our democratic setup, we have allowed the people to criticize government policies. Even as Congress people, we are free to criticize the policies of the government, but the point is whether the doubts raised in the minds of the public by the people in the opposition who show their loyalty to a different setup would be conducive to create the enthusiasm that is necessary and the inspiration that is necessary to give their very best to fulfill the largest of the plan. This planned economy is really not a thing that will go successfully hand in hand with a democratic setup unless some other things are there, and they are the inculcation of a national spirit, giving a proper national education to develop a national outlook, Next, unless these things are done as they are in other countries like England, unless that type of spirit is created in the country by all the people of all types of views, not bring allowed to create differences and doubts in the minds of the people. We cannot, in a democratic setup, hype the success which we want, and we cannot fulfill our promises to the people. Without going further into that aspect, which really came to my mind as a result of the long speech of Mr. Bhupesh Gupta, I would like to make a few observations so that a proper attitude towards giving of one's best to the plan and to raise the national economy can be developed. I would like to make 3 or 4 points. Firstly, we have to see that we take steps to check corruption at any level, whether it is among the people in the public sector or among the officials. Then we have also to see that we give a proper type of education, rouse a proper spirit of service. We must also check the trends for inflation and also lay stress on austerity so that the people will feel that there is something at stake. I would not like to take much time for the house. The main problem in our country is the growing population, and in spite of all the efforts that are made to raise the standard of living and raise production, etc., the results are not as easily predictable as they should have been. That is a separate problem by itself, but in spite of that, it is possible for the government to show better results if the government were to undertake immediately and see that some of the promises that are made, the acts that are passed, and the plans that are drawn up are properly implemented. I have been seeing this lacuna in the present position. Now the government have started a new ministry called the Coordination Ministry. It was very necessary because the plans of the different ministries sometimes were likely to go contrary to each other's aims. I do not want to go into details. For instance, take the question of the promotion of export. A commodity may be exported, but the price of that commodity in the country to the consumer may go on rising. Who is to see to that? Take tea for example. It had to be exported, and nobody was there to see whether there was enough tea for consumption in the country, and what was the price at which it was available to the consumer in the past. Full stop. Ready? Start. But this does not touch even the fringe of the problem, and when we see the second class passengers huddled together like cattle, not even having sufficient air to breathe in, we feel that there is something seriously wrong with our railway administration. We have also to see that the shortage that we had about the supply of wagons to the coal mines and to our steel industry is not there. Madam, it is a strange chain of events that the minister who was in charge of steel and who gave statements in a way implying that the railways are not doing their part well is now saddled with that responsibility, and I am sure he must feel double responsibility because he knows how the industry has suffered or was likely to suffer. As the Minister of Steel, he charged the Railway Ministry of not doing things which should have been done. Para. So now these are the problems that we have to meet, and the question arises how to meet them. I quite understand that there could be some economy affected in administration. I could also understand that by tightening the administration and seeing that there is not much of ticketless travel, we could improve the position. I could also understand that by taking effective measures regarding the new responsibility which Parliament has placed on the shoulders of the Railway Department, namely the liability of a common carrier for goods for which they have provided rupees 2 crores, and by having all these things in mind, there could be some reduction in expenditure, but I do not think that reducing would be of a value sufficient to meet the increasing demands of the railways. That is the problem. It is true that it will be hard to increase any fare. It would be hard to increase any freight. We do realize and we do appreciate it, and as representatives of the people, we do feel every day that our people are being taxed more and more. As regards freight, madam, my own view is that so far as food articles are concerned, this proposal should be modified just as there has been a modification in the case of giving encouragement for exports and in certain other respects. Similarly, I feel that so far as food articles are concerned, the proposal should be modified, and on the other things, these freights may continue as proposed. In this way, the danger that has been pointed out by honorable members and to a certain extent correctly, that if the prices of food articles go up, that would create difficulty, would be avoided. Ready? Start. महाराष्ट्र बिक्रीकर कर्मचारी संगठन वर्सेज स्टेट ऑफ महाराष्ट्र एंड अनदर. This court held as under. It was then contended on behalf of the appellants that neither the recruitment rules of 1971 nor the seniority rules of 1982 provided for carrying forward the vacancies falling in either category. In the absence of such rules which specifically provide for carrying forward the vacancies falling in either category, no such carry forward rule could be implied either in the recruitment rules or in the seniority rules. This contention need not detain us any longer because such a contention was available to the appellants in the earlier proceedings, namely transfer application number 820 of 1991, and the same was not put in issue. That not having been done in must follow that such a contention is barred by the principles of constructive res judicata. Neither the contesting respondents nor the appellants ever raised this contention at any stage of the proceedings in transfer petition number 822 of 1991. It would therefore be too late to raise such a contention when the seniority list has been finalized pursuant to the judgment of Might Bombay bench in transfer petition number 822 of 1991. The doctrine itself is based on public policy flowing from the age-old legal maxim which republic state had burdened duty, which means that in the interest of the state there should be an end to litigation and no party out to be vexed twice in a litigation for one and the same cause. The contention raised on behalf of the appellant that he should at least be paid the salary and allowances as paid to the assistant teachers in the higher secondary section for the time he functioned should also fail for the reason as set out therein above. The appellant, however, cannot be denied continuity of service under the master circular read with the orders of this court in Srimati J. D. Roy and the order in the appellant's own case, that is CA number 3557 of 1996. This is a fresh cause of action which has arisen in view of this absorption on 2/1/1998 subsequent to the culmination of the earlier round of proceedings. The conduct of the authorities themselves in subjecting the appellant to screening before the screening committee clearly indicates that even they wanted to treat the appellant's case on par with the case of Srimati J.D. Roy and others. Full stop.